All right, what's up, everybody? We are live, and stream tonight is going to be a little bit shorter than normal, only because really I only have time to go over um, the video that the quartering uploaded today and speak about that. I wanted to speak about the ViewBot stuff, but unfortunately, there won't be time. But I'll try to get to that tomorrow on the next stream or whenever I stream again. But we're going to go over really just his video where he explains, that the officially now we know. I know he had tweeted about it, but he put a video about it, kind of giving a bit more of an explanation as to why this is not going to happen now, right? So we're gonna go over that video. I'm gonna give some thoughts, and I guess initially my biggest reaction to it, at least, would be one that I'm not really surprised. I'm not really surprised because if you guys know, you've been watching the streams, I've said that I didn't feel like anything was gonna take place, anyways, just from the way that she approached it. I mean, but hey, I was happy to be wrong if that was the case. But and who knows, maybe she still might be going on to somebody else's channel for an interview. For all I know, maybe the whole thing with Vito is still going to happen. I don't know. There hasn't been any, uh, at least as of yet, there hasn't been any video released on Vito's channel that I know of. Although I'll check real quick just to be sure. Um, but I don't, because I know he was the other one that was kind of vying for this interview to take place. But I'm not sure if that's even going to happen now. I'm not sure if any of the interviews are going to happen now. Any of the ones that she might have agreed to do, I don't think they're going to happen because of what the courting mentioned in his video. And I would assume that that would apply to anybody that reached out in order to try to get an interview with Frost. Now, if you guys remember, what I had stated was maybe the whole reason she was going through an agency is maybe because she's contractually obligated to book things through her agent, even if it's something as small as a YouTube channel appearance, right? Maybe that's all things that are covered in the obligations that she has to her agents and having to go through them. Um, I don't know, of course, I don't know for sure, but I would assume that would be one of the reasons why. If not for the fact that it's also an easy way, for me, I believe the reason why she did the whole agent thing, book it through my agent, is because that way it makes it look like she's trying to have a conversation, but she has a way to kind of, like I said, plausibly deny people that conversation, because she could be like, well, I put it out there and I put it through my agent, but my agent said no, and I have to listen to my agent. So it gives her kind of a little bit of an out, because she could just put it all on her agent. So because agents, that's what they're paid to do, right? They're paid to kind of, in a sense, not only handle things like your bookings, depending on what it is, of course, for gigs and things of that nature, but also to kind of protect your image a little bit, right? And to look out for your well-being when it comes to these sorts of matters, right? So it would be really easy to have somebody else say no on your behalf. That way it doesn't reflect as poorly on you, even though in a sense it still kind of will by extension, but it gives her, like I said, a good kind of excuse, a good buffer, because you could just say, well, look, my agent felt it wasn't in my best interest to go, and I trust my agent, so I'm just doing what I pay, what I pay my agent for. You know what I mean? So that's what I always felt, and why the whole agent thing even came up was because, again, it gave her a way to kind of weasel out if her agent decided not to book her for any of this stuff. Because remember, and again, since she's deleted her tweets, that's another thing that kind of gives her a little bit of a plausible deniability, I guess, because she could try to challenge the validity of the tweets, even though we all know that they're real. And of course, I'm pretty sure there are people that went ahead and archived them. We all remember this tweet is no longer available, of course, as we know, right? This is not available anymore. And all these tweets disappeared after she had put it out there that she was willing to have this discussion with some of these YouTubers. not long after that, right? When she put her email out there for them to contact her agent and set up the booking. All of a sudden, this tweet and like 45,000 plus tweets, all gone. She started off fresh, right? This one, right? Told my agent to pick the biggest of those applied. This one's gone too, right? After making it seem like, oh, there's going to be some headway here. This is going to happen. But that's not looking to be the case now. It's looking like it's not going to happen. It's certainly not going to happen on the Quartering's channel. And it doesn't see, I would assume that it would be the same. It would be the same for everybody else. If he's not getting that interview, and again, to the best of my knowledge, out of all the big YouTubers that reached out to her, right? Or I would say the YouTubers, I should say, that reached out to her, I believe his channel is the biggest. And if he's not getting that interview, then I don't see any reason why Vito would still get it or anybody else. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll have to wait and see. So this is the video that the Quartering put out today. Okay. The sad and predictable end of the Froskurinn interview. As we know also, because we covered it on the last stream, the Quartering and Yellow Flash had a little bit of a spat due to him, them having a pretty fun. They had a fundamental disagreement, obviously, on whether or not this person should be platformed, or I should say, not so much that, but how each one of them would handle it, right? So, and we'll go over that briefly towards the end, but we're going to watch this video. And like I said, I'm going to give some thoughts. So
fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. All you geeks and gamers better stop jerking off to me.
Who cares?
I see you in the chat. Hit an F right now. Jerking off to your girl.
No.
Press F if you're not jerking off.
So I believe that was actually, I don't know if that was on Neurotics or on the Geeks and Gamers channel, but this obviously parody, it was pretty funny stuff.
I'm not hot to you.
No.
Wow. People keep confusing me for Preview Best and Justin Bieber.
Oh no.
Frostbitten. Now press F
Oh
if you're not
yeah, I think
jerking
it was on Neurotics, I guess. All 8 billion people on the planet pressed F simultaneously. That's pretty funny.
Frostbitten.
I surprisingly took a lot of flack for agreeing to do this interview with peers of mine, people whose content I enjoy daily, people I respect, using phrases like he shouldn't be platforming her, bizarrely sounding like run-of-the-mill SJW takes. Other people saying that it was worthless and it wasn't going to do anything.
Now, if you guys remember, that's what we talked about in the last stream. He's talking about Ethan Van Sciver and when Ethan was on the Flashcast and stuff like that. Because Ethan's of the strong belief, and he's entitled to his opinion, right? That you shouldn't speak with her because he feels that it's not really going to accomplish anything, that it's going to kind of it's going to uplift her, I guess, a little bit, or not necessarily uplift her, but help her more than help Jeremy. And maybe that's true, maybe not. There's no way to know now whether or not that would have occurred. But if we look at it, right, if Jeremy had her on for a quote unquote good faith conversation, right, and they found some common ground, maybe that would be a good thing, maybe not. But the thing is, I'm sure that if she had gone on, right, and they would have had a nice friendly conversation, she would have gotten completely torn apart by her side, right? Like her fans would have probably been really upset with her, really disappointed that she talked to Jeremy. It would have gone bad for her. I think it would have, in that regard, it would have gone worse for her probably than Jeremy. But or it depends, because I mean, if Jeremy And it seemed like from what he was saying on Flashcast and from what he was saying in his previous video, it didn't seem like he was really, or people got the impression that he wasn't really going to press her or challenge her on any of the things that she was saying. And that was a fair concern. And I think the reason he was doing that was because he was hoping that if he was, if he had the peaceable approach, right? If he was just like, all right, I'm extending the olive branch here. I'm going to be Mr. Nice Guy. I'm going to play ball. I think what he was hoping is that maybe she would potentially come back and be willing to have a conversation again at a later time. And maybe then he was looking to press her. I don't know. I can't speak for Jeremy. I don't know. This is just me speculating, purely speculating. Maybe he thought that by just kind of being on friendly terms, that would ensure that maybe he could have her on again in the future, and maybe they could have a little bit more of a lengthy discussion, a little bit more of an involved discussion. I don't know. Like I said, I can't speak to what Jeremy's intentions might have been. Like I said, I can only speculate. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why he was thinking of just kind of taking it easy. And again, we don't know for sure that he would have. Maybe he would have just given her that false sense of that he's going to take it easy. And then maybe he would have actually challenged her on a couple things. Like I said, now we'll never know. But I think that might have been why. That's me speculating. That it could have been just hoping that by being friendly now, maybe it would have brought her back later. But despite that, right? I don't think that's necessarily the best approach either, because you might just be one and done. So for all your efforts of being friendly and being diplomatic, it could have all been in vain. She could have just had that one interview with you, been very nice. It would have been very cordial, and then it wouldn't have mattered. Maybe she decides no matter what, she's not going to come back on, which I think is a very real possibility, considering that if she would have gone on Twitter after that, her fans would probably completely obliterate her and be like, why did you go on the Quarter Inch channel? Like, don't you realize that he's an ist, he's a phobe, he's this, that, he's terrible. Like, why did you speak with him? They probably would have browbeaten her into submission. And she seems like the kind of person that would capitulate, that would apologize after the fact. So, I don't know. But again, there's no way to know for sure. Maybe, maybe not. Like I said, all we can do is speculate about it at this point. But I get what he's saying. And like I said, I also understand Ethan's point of view. It's just like, I don't think it's going to lead to anything good. And that's fine. I mean, look, nobody is obligated to have a conversation with anybody on their channel. If they want to, they can. That's fine. My thing with it is, if Jeremy wanted to do it, let him do it. And if it blows up in his face, it blows up in his face. And if not, if something good comes out of it, that's cool too. So it's kind of whatever. So let's go ahead and see what else he has to say here.
I think these positions are obviously flawed, and we make fun of, the people on, the far left for refusing to talk to us, and to hear it coming from my own side, so to speak, was really disheartening. I have been talking with Froskurinn's.
Look, and I get where he's coming from with that, but again, I don't think that it's completely unfounded that people would be concerned, because sometimes it doesn't lead anywhere. And sometimes, again, look, if she goes on Jeremy's channel, right, and it doesn't seem like there's any kind of, because I just don't see her as the kind of person that would find common ground. But I could be wrong, right? It's possible. But if they don't reach any kind of common ground, then what would be the point of her even going on, right? Because isn't that the goal, to reach some kind of common ground between you and the person that you're trying to have this discussion with? So, I mean, in that regard, like I said, I think Ethan's concerns are well-founded in that regard. Like I said, I still would have said, hey, let Jeremy do what he wants to do with his channel, though. So that's just me.
Management team for, I don't know, 2 weeks now. And after all the cringe drama with certain people, I had basically lost any interest in actually conducting this interview. Really, the main reason was it was old news. What was this?
See, I don't completely believe this with what Jeremy's saying here. Maybe there's some truth to it, but I think he also felt a little bit pressured by the backlash that he got on the Flashcast, which I'm not saying, look, I'm not saying that that he was right or they were right in the situation. They just had a disagreement over it. But I think part of the reason why is also because of the pressure he feels, right? With how some of his peers reacted on the Flashcast. I think that's part of the reason why he also felt maybe a little bit dejected and kind of soured to the whole deal afterwards. I don't think it's necessarily all because, oh, well, you know what? I feel that it's old news now. No, I don't know that I fully believe that. I mean, could be true, but I'm not sure that I believe that that's completely the reason why. It could factor in for sure, but I think it might also have to do with what happened this past weekend. Again, just my opinion.
Month ago now, who even cares? I suspect this video won't perform nearly as good as my other videos today because people are over it. But the bizarre yet also so predictable ending of this is something I wanted to share with all of you right after a quick word from this video sponsor. Huge shout out to this video sponsor.
So let's skip the sponsorship.
800 years, all the way back.
Jeremy gets paid for that, but I don't. So we're so let's just skip ahead here. Although those knives look nice. They have some nice looking knives. All right, but let's get past this here. And look at that, Jeremy. I put it on the screen for you, the discount code, the promo code. Look at that. You should hook it up with a piece of that, Jeremy. Hook it up. Hook me up with a percentage. No, I'm kidding. All right, let's go right about here. So here we go.
Valentine's Day is coming around. Gift for someone you love or for yourself, quite frankly. Now,
the reason why he's probably not is because he knows that if he does, if he name drops them, chances are they're gonna make. I don't think he wants to start anything with them. I mean, him and Flash apparently squashed it, and I know him and Ethan still have some issues. So I think he just doesn't want to. He doesn't want it to be a back and forth. Like I said, this would be my that again speculation. I think that's why he's not dropping their names, because I don't think he wants to go down that road again. I don't think he wants to tread old territory, especially considering he said that he squashed it with Yellow Flash, so he's not going to bring it back up. What's up, Sen? What's going on, buddy? So
I want to point out that I think that having an absolute opinion on things, an opinion where you're saying like, unless the other side is going to totally bend the knee and agree with me and repent their sins, is that's the only reason it's worth talking to them. That's from a lot of the position that a few people held. I think that's foolish, of course, short-sighted also. But you also,
and look, in fairness to him, right? In fairness to Jerry, I can agree with that. I understand where he's coming from with that, because sometimes the diplomatic approach will get you a lot farther. You know how the saying goes, the pen is mightier than the sword. So I understand where he's coming from with that. But I think, the biggest reason why like Flash and Ethan have that stance is because that's been tried before too, and it's blown up in people's faces as well, where they've tried the diplomatic approach and it gets completely thrown back in their face. And then you have an instance where, like the Zack Snyder instance on Geeks and Gamers, where people felt like, oh, you guys let Zack Snyder come on there and disrespect you and this, that, or the other. It was one of those things that was completely out of left field. But I think that's also part of the concern, right? Nobody wants that to happen again, right? Nobody wants an instance where they tried to do something in good faith, and it seemed to be, like I said, thrown right back in their face. So
Have the situation where you just look weak if you're not willing to talk. You can't make 20 videos about somebody and then ignore their willingness to speak. That's like some weak tit stuff.
did
So-
he just say weak tits? Weak tit stuff? Hold on. I gotta see what Jeremy. Hold on, wait a second.
And then ignore their willingness to speak. That's like some weak tit stuff.
Hold on. Weak tit stuff. I don't think I've ever heard that before. Let me make sure. Let me make sure that's what Jeremy is saying. Let's put on the captions. Hold on. I don't think I've ever heard that.
You can't make 20 videos about somebody and then ignore their willingness to speak. That's like some weak tit stuff.
Oh, he did say that.
So it was a conversation I was looking forward to having, but as the days went on, as things went on, I became less and less confident that it had happened, even though they agreed to speak to me way back on, I'm just checking the emails for receipts here, 8 days ago on January 25th. On January 25th, the story was already stale. And what was interesting is,
and truth be told, that is a long time to make somebody wait, right? For somebody that put it out there, hey, let's have some discussions. I mean, this should have been a done deal within a couple days. And by the next week, there should have been something, presumably, given, of course, the schedules involved, at least an announcement of when this conversation was going to take place. Not necessarily that the conversation would happen the very next week, but there would be some agreed upon date and time that this conversation would take place. So 8 days pass and still no word. Yeah, after I would think after the second day of you not hearing anything, second or third day of you not hearing anything from the other party, the chances of it actually happening would probably diminish quite a bit. So
a lot of it came from a lot of the conversation. We never got a chance. We never got a chance to have any kind of real communication, and that really is what's a bummer. Now, Frost did unblock me on Twitter. I think that felt like a sign of things to come. A good faith sign.
So as you can see, it sounds like he never got a chance to speak with her directly. So everything was done through the agent. So he never even actually spoke with her, even though she unblocked him on Twitter or whatnot. She's never even DM'd him, from what it seems like.
But then something weird happened. She decided to delete all of her tweets, 45,000 tweets, and essentially just go back to tweeting about video games.
See, and I think, right, she's not doing what Adam Sessler has continued to do, right, where he's the one still kind of putting out stuff that's pretty incendiary, that's pretty divisive towards people. She's just kind of focused heavily on her job, which is, in gaming, right, with G4 and stuff like that, which is pretty interesting, right? So one of two things happened, or maybe three. She got a stern talking to from the higher ups that said, hey, look, the stuff you put out there is way too divisive. It's or divisive, however you want to say it. It's way too incendiary. It's too antagonistic. Why don't you chill out? You're bringing us a lot of unwanted attention or unwanted heat. Maybe that happened, but I don't think that that's it. Me personally, I don't believe that that's what happened, because you still have Adam Sessler, and even though he's like one of the OGs of G4 TV, but you still have him out there saying pretty divisive stuff. I made a video about it earlier today, and I hope you guys will watch it. If you didn't get the notification, please be sure to go watch the video and like it. That helps, of course. Comment also if you have thoughts on it. But I don't think that that's necessarily it. I don't think that it's necessarily because she got a stern talking to. Could be. It could be, but I don't think that that's it. I think that the reason why she deleted her tweets, and again, this is pure speculation, pure speculation. I think that she deleted her tweets, she nuked her Twitter, because once she started having these conversations and she saw that some of these YouTubers were willing to put their money where their mouth is, right, and actually have her on for a good faith, quote unquote, good faith discussion, I think that she got rid of the tweets because she didn't want them thrown back in her face or used against her. Now, mind you, of course, look, we know that the internet is forever, right? The internet never forgets. People probably archive the tweets anyways, and whoever would have her on would probably, maybe, I can't say for sure, but would maybe still be able to throw that in her face. So I think that's why she nuked her Twitter. Because when she saw that there were people that were willing to come to the table and discuss with her and have a good faith interview with her or conversation with her, she was just like, oh shit. Okay. Well, maybe I should just I'll get rid of this stuff, because if I do end up going on any of these channels, I don't want this to be pulled up and be asked to explain. So that's what I think. Again, that's just me speculating. Or it could be because she did get told from the higher ups that, hey, you need to stop. But like I said, if that's the case, then why hasn't Adam Sessler been told to stop? If that's the case, because I would think the stuff that he's saying is also pretty divisive, would also be a problem, right, for the higher ups. Or maybe he gets a pass because he's one of the OGs of G4 TV. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's a man. I don't know. Maybe it's because of his male privilege. I don't know. But let's get back to it here.
Which is good, by the way. She certainly can tweet about whatever they want, certainly. But a lot, the antagonistic tweets calling YouTubers drama farmers and all this kind of stuff, it's all gone. And that's good. And look, if you value, if I can ask a favor, please don't interact with her, because I'm going to share with you some more information that I think will explain it. If you want to talk about it,
and I guess I should go ahead and give this disclaimer, right? Obviously, we don't do that here. We don't advocate for that here. We don't condone that here. No harassment of any kind. It's just like, it's always good to just, we're just talking about this stuff, and from time to time we point and laugh at it. That's it. We have our fun with it.
Join my Gilded. If you go to my link tree in the description, it's a freer speech alternative to Discord. There's several thousand members already in there. It's obviously free. But talk about it there. Please don't interact with her anymore. Because coincidentally, after a week of negotiating back and forth, I had emailed them yesterday and said, I wanted to follow up on this. I would still like to conduct this interview, but the timeliness is kind of key here. And the whole thing happened over 2 weeks ago. At this point, is she available early this week or not? Essentially saying, like, I'm done. I don't want to do this interview anymore. It was the ultimate fact. The ultimate reason I was getting uninterested in doing the interview is simply because it wasn't interesting anymore. And her representation came back today and shared what was a shockingly predictable response. What I do want to say is what they're saying might be true. There are insane people on the internet. I know.
See, and mind you, right? This is what he's about to go into is, again, what I would like I said, it's what I would expect when somebody puts out a tweet saying, hey, talk to my agent if you want to schedule a discussion. But let's continue here.
No, it was none of my viewers, because they would never do this. But her representation wrote, This whole thing has got a bit personal across the board with multiple threats on her life and aggressive behavior from some people responding to the situation. Once I read that sentence, I knew it was over. I knew it. And like, it's the total Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn cop out, isn't it?
It's absolutely a cop out, because think about this for a moment, right? There's threats on her life. It's not like she's being asked to go somewhere for the interview, right? She's not being asked to go to Jeremy's, house or some kind of venue where she would have to do this interview with him. It would be online. You know what I mean? Probably from the privacy of her own home or somewhere, maybe an office. I don't know. But it's not like she would actually have to go to a location. So this is an absolute cop out. And what she conducts the interview, and then afterwards they're like, well, if we find her, we're going to get her. You know what I mean? People that look, and threats are not okay of any kind, obviously. But I think that when it comes to somebody actually being somewhere, right? Like, let's say for whatever reason, Jeremy had a public office space, right? That was in the middle of, the city or town that he lives in, right? And people had already doxed the address, and she was asked to fly out, right, to where Jeremy is at to conduct this interview. And people were saying, if you fly out over there, we're going to do XYZ to you. I would understand then backing out, right? That makes sense. That makes sense to me, because it's just like, okay, there's no way to know for sure in that case. Like, how do you know if you're really going to be secure at that point when you have that kind of a threat, right? Now, we don't know if you don't know if it's a credible threat or not, but I understand in that instance, because there is no way to know. It's just like, do I risk it or not? But more than likely, let's be honest here, this was going to be an interview that she was going to be doing remotely. So what are you afraid of? And honestly, look, to me, if any of these threats, right? Because again, online threats barely have any kind of, all threats should be taken seriously, right? But a lot of times they're just idle. They're just idle threats. Okay? They're just idle threats. And people probably aren't going to do anything. But I think it would have spoken more to her character if, let's say, she has these threats. If any of, after all these threats, right, of being told all this stuff, she still would have decided to do the interview despite the threats and be like, hey, I got a lot of heat for doing this. And not even threats, right? Just people telling her not to do it. Okay. People telling her, people on her Twitter or Reddit or wherever it is that she likes to frequent, her agreeing to still do the interview despite people saying, oh, you shouldn't talk to him, this, that, or the other, right? And her saying, oh, you know what? I gave my word that I would, and I'm going to follow through with this. And, hey, look, I want to have a good faith discussion, right? Because she's a person that is always talking about people saying stuff to her in bad faith, right? So you would think for a person that seems to always want to get internet brownie points, there would be some degree of positivity that would come her way as well. I'm sure there would be plenty of negativity, but there would also be plenty of positivity, especially from people in her base that might be reasonable. And and her, despite whatever people are saying online, right? Because remember, she says that she doesn't give a shit, but then she does give a shit. So it's just like, what? I guess it depends on what day of the week it is for her. But it would have spoken, it would have said a bit. It was all right, respect, she showed up, right? She showed up. Would have to give her that, at least showing up. But that's not going to happen.
Do I know? Certainly they didn't. Is it possible somebody said something stupid? Of course. It's possible.
See, why else that's a cop-out? That's not anything different. Here's another reason why it's such a lame-ass cop-out. Because it's not anything different than what she's used to on a daily basis, at least according to her. At least according to her. I mean, this is the kind of shit that she supposedly goes through all the time anyways. So why would she let it stop her now? Why would she let it stop her now? It's interesting.
They didn't tweet any reference to it. They could have emailed me about it until I was ready to cancel the interview, but I digress. Unfortunately, for now, we're going to have to pass on any engagement to let things cool off a bit. I appreciate you reaching out to continue to be authentic and professional in your approach. Hopefully you understand, and maybe we can work some time together in the future. Hard pass. And by the way, I don't blame her agent. I don't blame her agent.
That agent, chances are slim to none, right? That agent will ever take the initiative to reach out to Jeremy ever again. Slim to none. Like I said, I'd be genuinely surprised. So when you hear that, right, that's happening, that's what the agent is saying, okay? I doubt that anybody that reached out that she agreed to do an interview with, whether it be the quartering veto or whoever, is going to be doing an interview. So again, I felt that there was a better than not chance. Remember, and I said it, you guys were here. There was a better not chance that it probably wasn't going to happen. Although I was just like, when it looked like Jeremy had been in contact, I was like, well, I guess I was wrong. But I guess I wasn't.
All he knows is what he told her. So then I immediately replied within 2 minutes, and I wrote, wow, that's shocking to hear. Can you please send me some of these threats? I want to publicly disavow them. I think we all know what was going on there, right? He immediately replies, let me see if I'm at liberty to share.
Why not, right? Why not? Remember, when Frosk was getting remember, and we went over it on a stream and on a video, right? Where she got those quote unquote threats, right? And people saying stuff to her, she immediately shared them on Twitter. Immediately. Had no problem, right? And we saw that some of those emails that she received were obviously troll accounts. One of the emails that she received, if you guys remember, it even had troll in the name. It was like Trollcaster or something like that. Hold on, let me see if I can go back and find it real quick. Let me see if I could go back and find the name, because I had it somewhere. Give me a sec. There was literally like Trollmaster or something like that in the email name. And she immediately shared those to her Twitter page. And she made light of them. She thought they were funny. She was like, oh, they mad, blah, 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 this, that, or the other. Didn't seem to bother her. Didn't seem to stop her. Let's see. Going back to the video. I'm trying to find the video where they were actually, because I think it was in the video that I put out. I don't think it was the follow-up live stream that I did to it. I think it was the video that I released talking about the situation. So let me see. Let me see if I can find it here. So yeah, I think it was. Let me see. I'm looking through it right now because I'm trying to find that name because it was so funny. Like one of them had Obama something in it, and the other one was troll something or other, and it was just like obvious troll accounts. You know what I mean? One that even literally had troll in the name, which is crazy to me. So let me see. All right, yeah, no, I can't find it right now, but y'all remember that. The fake emails that she received, and it was it was pretty obvious. So hey, what's up, Kai? How you doing? Been a while. All right, so we'll get back to the quarter eggs video here. Just give me 1 sec here. Just fixing something up real quick. All right. All right, I'm trying to see. Okay, there we go. All right, let's finish up this video here.
And that was now 2 hours ago.
So no response. And maybe look, maybe that person will end up sending the receipts, right? But I don't know, like even if they do, to me, I don't think it really matters because she's posted the quote unquote threats and the heinous messages that she's received from people before. And it didn't seem to be a big deal to me. I would think at this point, especially the way that she always cries victim every day about how bad it is for her, I don't see why now emails like that, messages like that would get in the way of her having a good faith conversation with somebody. Why that would now be a roadblock for her.
Obviously, I don't believe that she received any kind of credible threats. But what I do believe...
I don't think so either. And again, it's not like she was asked to do the interview live. She wasn't going to be flown out to any kind of location to do this interview. It was probably going to be done. More than likely, right? It was going to be done remotely. It was probably going to be some, I won't say Discord call, but maybe like a Skype call or something, right? A call on some app, probably.
It was that people were mean. And so was she. So when you put that kind of venom out there, people want to spit it back at you. That's like a normal human reaction to that kind of thing. Is it right? Is it okay? I don't know. I'm not in a moral position to really discuss that. I've gotten heated before too. But I think that ultimately what's really sad here is we lost a chance to really reach across the aisle, and it was potentially because of our own side. Now,
yeah, but it could also be because she never had any true or honest intention, right? She probably honestly really never wanted to talk to anybody. Like I said, what I said before, I think it was just a move to look like she was a reasonable person, right? To look like she was willing to talk, but honestly never had true intentions to talk. Because again, why not just say, hey, I'll talk to you guys? Like I said, but she used the agent, right? And again, could be a legit reason why, as I've said before, could be part of whatever contract she has with her agency, that she's obligated to go through them for any kind of booking, even if it's just the call for an interview or whatever. But it makes it easier, like I said, for her to just be like, for them to say no on her behalf, right? Because she knows they probably are going to say no on her behalf, especially once they start vetting some of the people that wanted to talk to her.
was she ever going to really do it? I don't know. It's difficult to know for sure. And then people that never...
And that's fair, maybe, but I don't know. I think that Jeremy is being much more charitable towards her than I would be, but that's fine. Maybe I'm wrong. As you all know before, I'm okay with admitting when I'm wrong about stuff. It's not a big deal. But I don't think that me personally, I don't believe that she ever had any intention of going onto any of these people's channels at all.
That always believed she wasn't going to do it are going to be, reinforced. And there will be new people who think she was never going to do it. I happen to believe that she really was going to.
And that's fine. Jeremy's entitled to that.
You don't have that many emails back and forth between her agent and stuff like that. I also believe that anyone talking about platforming someone is absurd. Froskurinn has been around in the esports world and the commentary world longer than I have, and has far more brand recognition than I have. So this idea of her clout chasing with me doesn't make any sense.
I mean, she's not that famous. I mean, it really, she's a person that, again, you probably know who she is if you are into League of Legends, especially the online esports scene. But outside of that, she's not that well known. So again, I think Jeremy's being a little bit charitable towards her here, but that's fine.
Is anybody in Frosk's audience going to suddenly love my content? No. Is anybody in my audience going to suddenly love her? Probably not. But the discussion would have been important, and it would have been helpful because it would have brought people together and been a great example of how people who disagree can have an adult conversation.
Not necessarily. Maybe like it's possible that he's right. It's possible, but it's also possible that Ethan is right. That she could have gone on there and could have tried to do something to prop herself up, make herself look good. But then again, look, and this will be in fairness to Jeremy as well. I think if she would have gone on there and she would have gone in hot, right, and decided to just be very like well, I guess, yeah. If she went in there and she decided to be confrontational, right, then I would assume that Jeremy would try to diffuse the situation. But if ultimately it were to end in some kind of, shouting match or her really being aggressive, I don't think we would ever hear that interview anyways. I don't think he would upload the interview. I think he'd be like, well, I'm not going to put this out there because, she's saying this stuff to me. Right? Why would I put out an interview that's not actually what it was meant to be, right? Which is a good faith conversation. So we would probably never see it anyways. I mean, unless he just wanted to put something out there that, just for the clicks and at the expense of possibly making himself look bad. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to know for sure, but that's why I think people wanted to see it live. But I don't know. I don't know.
We don't need to go any further back than the conversation with Lauren Hissrich, the showrunner of The Witcher. By the way, her and I are still talking, just not publicly. And I thought that a lot of good came out of that.
Yeah, but those are different people. That's the other thing too. Those are two different people. Frosk is a person that seems to be willfully antagonistic, right? The Lauren Hissrich person seemed like she was more trying to be, just kind of witty with the comebacks, not necessarily that she was trying to be mean-spirited towards people. It was more like, okay, well, if you say something to me, I'm going to say something back. Whereas Frosk seemed to be more willfully antagonistic. Like she was trying to be a jerk to get a rise out of people. That's what it seemed like. Again, could just be something she's doing to put on an online persona. Maybe. Don't know. But maybe she's a reasonable person. Maybe they could have had a reasonable conversation. Again, we'll never really know. So maybe there'll be an opportunity in the future, but I doubt it. I think that ship has sailed. And honestly, I don't think that, like I said, I just don't think it was ever really going to happen. But hey, maybe I could still be wrong. Maybe there's a conversation to be had and she'll still come back around.
And I think any chance that you can get to like offer somebody a chance to like humanize themselves, and me too, obviously, I would have loved to just get her to understand that, painting gamers TM as these like creepazoids who don't want to watch it because they're not attracted to her.
All right, before he continues with that, I want to read this from Kai. I personally don't feel that she had any intention of being cordial. I feel she was going to do her best to get a rise out of him. To be honest, yeah, probably, maybe. But that's the thing. If that would have happened, and I think Jeremy would have known it and probably would have been like, okay, look, if we're not going to have a conversation, then you could go. You can go. This is not going to be uploaded because there was nothing accomplished here. Or maybe not. Maybe he would do it just to get that ad revenue. Who knows? I see no upside to that either, because then it would absolutely prove Ethan right, and I don't think that Jeremy would want to give Ethan that. So,
while also
right.
understand that, painting gamers TM as these like creepazoids who don't want to watch it because they're not attracted to her, while also posting fully declothed images of herself on her own Instagram.
Yeah, we
seemed
heard
a little
about that.
hypocritical.
Yeah.
I would have loved an opportunity to bring that up, and maybe she wasn't ever going to give me that opportunity, but it doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying to reach across the aisle, so to speak. It doesn't mean I'll turn down a single opportunity in the future to do it, because I've been doing this long enough.
So look, when Jeremy says stuff like that, it makes me think maybe he would have not blindsided her, but would have asked her some questions that would have, kind of put her on her heels a little bit. But again, we'll never know. And there's no way to know for sure. Because I would think, look, a good agent is going to ask beforehand. They're going to say, hey, listen, if this is going to happen, then we need the questions that you're going to ask beforehand. I want her to be prepped. I want my client to be prepped so she knows exactly what she's getting herself into. And I'd appreciate it, that this way we know that the conversation that's being had is not going to be under false pretenses and things like that. That's not to say that Jeremy can't still blindside her, right, with a question. I mean, I think that's something that could have still happened. Again, we don't know. But agents, I would think, because they want to protect the image of their client and they want to look out for their best interests. That's what a responsible agent would do, right? Give us the questions beforehand so that she has prep.
Even, for example, if Pokimane would want to talk, or some of these other people that I've had issues with, I would be an absolute coward and hypocrite if I turned that down. Because for years, all of our side has ever said is they won't debate us, they won't talk to us, all they do is block, they don't talk to us. So some will say it was a predictable ending, and perhaps you're right.
And that last point that Jeremy brought up, that's a fair point. I get what he's saying.
I think that for me, I was trying to, hang on to a shred of humanity and faith in people. Maybe she really did get some psycho emailing her. I don't know. I didn't see anything like that on Twitter. If I did, I would have publicly disavowed it, just like I'm doing here. I don't hold it against her agent. And I think that let's just move on from her. She's not ready to have the conversation. Maybe she never was, but there are lots of other people that we can talk to. And that's the important thing. G4 TV probably will not survive this year. Their growth is completely stopped. They're averaging,
I think that's a fair prediction too.
Losing 100 subscribers a day, 700 a week. Their channel's completely stopped growing. Their Twitch channel is, irrelevant. There are people that, I'm sorry, this is their Twitter feed. They're just going to fade back into obscurity. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't look for other opportunities. I hope you enjoyed this video. We're going to close the chapter on this. We'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. So there you have it. There's, the interview's not going to happen. And if it's not happening with him, it's probably not going to happen on anybody else's channel, would be my assumption. Especially if she's getting quote unquote credible threats, which I don't think are credible at all. Because again, it'd be a lot different if she was going to any kind of studio location to do this interview. Then I would understand pulling out. But these are interviews that would take place remotely. And considering the fact that she claims this is stuff that she has to deal with almost every day as it is, it shouldn't be a reason for her to pull out now. So it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I could still end up being wrong. Maybe she'll come back around, but I guess it looks like I was right about the situation. It looks like it wasn't going to happen regardless. And it seemed like all the posturing online was just for a show. You know what I mean? She did it to make it look like she was a reasonable person that was willing to talk and have discussions with people. But obviously that's not really her intention. Because if not, she would have tried to make it happen. So she would have, she would have really pushed for it. She would have said, hey, look, we're still going to do this regardless. Look, I'm getting heat from people for doing this, but I'm going to do it. Because I truly do believe what I believe. And I think that it does need to be talked about and it's important. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's really true. So it's fine. And again, I think it also kind of reaffirms the stuff that Thorne has said about her. It also reaffirms his stance. So that is what it is. So we're going to close out this stream here in just a moment. I guess I could answer any questions you guys have about this situation now while we're still live, what you all think about this. And just for those of you that don't know, channel memberships are live. Later tonight, I will be uploading some exclusive content only for members for the Hunt Plus tier. Some exclusive member videos like deleted scenes from Henshin Time and maybe a couple other videos, full interviews that I've done and stuff for those videos. So anybody who's a member of that tier, once those videos are uploaded, you will have access to them. There's also just the Hunt tier, which you get the exclusive emojis. So if you guys want to join and get that, you'll have that. You'll be able to put the emojis that are part of that tier. If you do the Hunt Plus, you get the emojis plus the video content. So just keep that in mind. So Gabe the Gen says she'll probably change when G4 hits rock bottom. Maybe. I mean, the thing is, she's always kind of been that way. That's the unfortunate reality of it, is that she at least, I shouldn't say always, but at least for the last couple years, this seems to be the kind of person that she's put herself out online to be. This person that is always crying foul, is always saying that there's ist and phobes and all this stuff in gaming, in the gaming industry. But it's funny because all the stuff that she claims, right, that holds people back in the industry haven't seemed to really hold her back, right? With her being a part of these marginalized groups herself and claiming that the reason why people don't get ahead is because they're part of the marginalized groups that she's also a part of, right? Being a woman and also part of the LGBT community hasn't really stopped her from being successful. So Zana says, yeah, she actually does. Somebody shared them the other day. Pretty gross stuff on Instagram. I guess she does. I want to say, I think it was that Star Wars girl that shared them, but I'm not sure. But it was like, Italo says, I think it's best that the interview didn't happen. Maybe not. I mean, because I honestly don't think that they would have found common ground. That's what I think. But maybe. But again, we'll just never know now. And honestly, it's not really that important because I see her in the same vein as people that Ethan had mentioned, right? I see her as just another Brianna Wu, another Zoe Quinn, another Anita Sarkeesian, just kind of beating that same drum, accusing people of stuff without any kind of substantiation. It's just it's the same old song and dance, I think. So that's a good question, Gabe the Gen. I have no idea, but maybe she feels that there are people that do want to see stuff like that. That's just kind of hypocritical of her take on that stream. Yeah, it is. But what do you expect? What can we really expect from people like that? That's what they do. So I'm not surprised. I'm honestly not surprised. I had a feeling that this is exactly how it was going to end, that it was never really going to come into fruition. And there it is. There it is. Or if there was going to be an agreement, it probably was always going to end like this, right? To make it seem like she was willing to talk, but then pull out. I'm not surprised that it ended this way either, right? It's like, oh, I've agreed to talk to people, but then pulls out. So, I mean, she had a name. She had already kind of made a name for herself, SD0, before that in the League of Legends scene, especially in the esports League of Legends scene. So she already kind of had a name because of that. But G4, I guess, just kind of it gives her a little bit more exposure. I don't know how much more though, because I just see G4 going down in flames. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, though. I appreciate each and every one of you joining me on the stream. I will catch you all on the next stream. You all have a wonderful evening.